You got the joke, right? Yeah. This, of course, is one of the biggest deals in world history. Not just American history and not just in European history, right? And if you look at the United States of America, I know this is a European history class, but if we look at the United States of America, this is right up here in some of our greatest, quote, crimes. Right? Remember, one of the worst debates you could ever have between two Americans is what's worse, slavery or what we did to the Indians, which of course is what?
Neither, because they're both.
What's it called, what was done to the American Indian?
Genocide.
Genocide. Okay? Which of those was worse? And one of the biggest problems that human beings have when it comes to trying to solve a problem, deal with an issue, is we like to blame someone. It's all his fault. It's all her fault. And by now you've probably figured out who that person is who we blame. The state of Maine has, okay, because the state of Maine has gotten rid of Columbus Day. It's now called Indigenous Peoples Day. In fact, if you do a search on the internet and you type in "cancel Columbus Day," you get an awful lot of hits. Honestly, I can't tell you 100% for sure how many states still call it Columbus Day because it just keeps changing. I think it's about 60-40 now. In other words, about 60% of the states call it Indigenous Peoples Day, and about 40% call it Columbus Day. What do you think we should call it? That's not the only issue.
I think I know.
Because meanwhile, this is happening too.
It's muted.
It would be better with sound.
Good evening, I'm Candace Byrne.
And I'm Bill Fitzgerald. Our Matthew Foltz joins us live now with that story. Matthew?
Well, it's a real scene here tonight at Bird Park, Bill and Candace, as people continue to trickle down here to take pictures of the Christopher Columbus statue that is now half submerged here in the lake at Bird Park. Now, we arrived on scene around 9:30 after one of our crew members informed us that the statue had been taken down. Now, protesters tell us that everything started around 6 p.m. tonight after they gathered and marched down to the Lee Monument, then back. Now, we spoke with one protester off camera who tells me that music was played as well as chants before several groups took ropes and tore the statue down and then dragged it down here to the lake and then dumped it in the lake. Now, the protester also tells me that the motive of tonight was behind the racial injustices that Native Americans faced. I spoke with one woman who's lived here in Richmond for the last 26 years. Here's her take on what she saw.
I think it's phenomenal. I know some people have a lot of emotional attachment to some of these monuments, but I believe that with them coming down, that is one very strong step toward more unity within the city, and I think that can only be a good thing.
But can it only be a good thing? Is it phenomenal that we are tearing statues down, specifically of Columbus? This happened in Rich, Virginia. By the way, it also happened in London, England.
What?
Okay? Christopher Columbus is becoming a villain. We could debate this. We could say he is a villain or he's not a villain. I have done that in years past. But instead, we're going to have more fun with it. There's been an awful lot of Netflix series, television shows. Heck, speaking of England, if you go back to the 1960s, I believe, for one of the very first time travel shows ever, I think it was called Doctor Who. Anyone hear of Doctor Who? Okay, good. Well, for those who have, we're going to be using our TARDIS today. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back in time and snatch Christopher Columbus before he dies. And bring him forward so we can put him on trial. We're going to be having a trial in the next couple of days. I'm going to be asking some of you to play the role of the prosecution, some of you to play the role of the defense, someone to actually be Christopher Columbus. I'm going to be asking some of you who have any either creativity, imaginative ability, or even thespians out there to be the role of witnesses that anybody wants to call. Right, so let's say, for example, you want to call, I don't know to give anything away, but Christopher Columbus's mother to the stand, then our thespian will play that role for you. Okay? And finally, of course, we're going to have judges. I'm going to give you a few days to prepare for the trial. The prosecution, of course, will be in charge. In fact, the prosecution's first job is to figure out what they're going to charge Columbus with. Okay? And then the defense will have to figure that out. But as any good lawyer will tell you, you got to research both sides. You want to make sure that your side wins, you better figure out what the other side's going to say so you're ready to counter that argument. So what I have for you in just a few minutes, I've also put this up on canvas for you, is I've got about 5 or 6 different viewpoints. I'm going to give them to all sides. All right, and you'll read, all right, Columbus was an SOB, or leave the poor guy alone. You'll get a chance to read both. You're certainly not going to read all, so maybe you'll read number 2 and you'll read number 3. You're on the same team and you'll compare notes. I need to know by Friday at the end of class, in other words, you've got a day and a half to figure out what you're going to charge Columbus with so that the defense can prepare over the weekend and the trial will begin on Monday. In just a second, I'll start calling for volunteers, seeing what you want to do and stuff like that. But before we do, any general questions about how this will work? Yes?
Can you charge him for multiple things?
Absolutely. You can charge Columbus with as many things as you want to. All right? And remember, you can keep using your TARDIS. You can go back in time and pick someone else, or go to a different time period to put him on trial. This is, let's be honest, the greatest trial ever. Columbus, for most of our history, was the greatest hero that the earth knew. The man who brought the two halves of the world together. Now, as you see, he's turning into the greatest villain ever. So we get to put him on trial. Some people have even said that Columbus was worse than Hitler. Well, they both committed genocide, is what some people have said. I'm not saying I'm saying that. I'm saying other people are saying that. What a trial this is going to be. Yes, sir.
How many roles can people have?
As many as necessary. Yes, sir.
So if you're on the prosecution, do you have to have evidence that can be, like, do we need sources for evidence? Like, can we do research and then use that?
You absolutely are highly encouraged to do your own research. You can find anything out there, okay? I'm going to give you some. And if the trial is just the research I've given you and what's your textbook, that's fine. However, let me make one thing clear. Make sure if you do your own independent research, you keep track of your sources. I don't need any special footnotes or anything, but you got to know where it came from. Because I'm going to look at it and I'm going to say that's legit or not. And it's going to be really, really embarrassing if you found some evidence you think is great and I say, that's crap, that's not really what happened. Okay? Kevin, then Sam, go ahead.
Okay, I got 2 quick things to say.
What?
Okay, so the witnesses have to be legit, real people, not someone.
Well, no, they don't have to be, like, you can call I want to talk to Joe, random Indian, okay? Damn, look at that, damn Columbus now going to use that word. Right? So yeah, it can be anybody, it can be someone made up, but you can't say, I want to talk to a Martian. Okay, can't like that, okay? Second question?
Will we have more debates like this in the future?
No comment. Your question?
Wouldn't Columbus have to have an interpreter because he would probably be...
Yeah, we're not going to worry about that. I think there's another science fiction show, is it Star Trek, that has a universal translator. So we got universal translators. Don't worry about any of that stuff either, okay? You had a question? We ready? You can pause it now. Thank you.